Good enough, right, Barney? So I used to go down, and it looks like it's a little bit too treacherous. There's a little path over there, and they really have it kind of like, they made it very unsavory to go down. So we have to go down the main trail, which is fine.
All right.
I don't know, you know, over by San Pedro, they have all those, during World War II, they had those viewing stations all along the coast. And then the lighthouse is down here. Actually, the lighthouse is very important to this shipwreck because I guess the pilot or whoever, the navigator, was misreading the signals on the lighthouse over here, and this is why they ran aground.
Ah.
But I don't even know if lighthouses really do anything anymore, do they?
I'm sure they do in certain parts of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Not everyone has GPS on every
Vessel.
fishing boat.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of some remote ass area.
But yeah, if I had any money, and I'm very classist, if I had any money, I would love to live in a neighborhood like this. I just like, it's cooler.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's just like sweet and pleasant, and you're not going to get too much like an airplane noise or whatever. Like, it's like, you know, this is also why probably rich people buy it up.
I couldn't stand it.
No,
I wouldn't be able to stand that.
What is why? What's wrong? What ticks your?
I just feel like the kind of stuff that I'd get up to would not mesh well with the neighborhood. So like,
this is true.
Yeah, there'd be some clashes there. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Hilarious. But this is also why you're looking at that property out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, and even then, I'd expect to clash with the locals a little bit, but that doesn't matter. That actually like somewhat factors into my strategy.
And what's interesting, because I feel like there's this Venn diagram between like I'll just say anarchistic art, you know, I don't know, rebellious people, and, you know, like fucking survival red stater. Like there's a lot of crossover in those worlds.
I mean, I've followed a lot of the, you know, survivalist, prepper kind of shits for a little while. Mm-hmm. Like, the thing is with like the preppers, they're always about like, I'm gonna take care of me, and this like doomsday scenario that's coming up is gonna kill all the people that I don't like. Usually, you know,
yes.
They're code words for people that live in the city. They're code words for people of other races. Usually that's what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And they're not trying to like take care of a community.
As it were.
What's that?
Helter skelter, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than like sort of like the I'd say more like the anarchist version of it is to create like mutual aid networks.
Yes.
Where, you know, I don't have to have you know, a whole basement full of canned peaches or whatever. I just know that like I got friends that have my back, and you know, that's more of the survival strategy rather than. But I see what you mean, like with the crossover.
Well, there's so many like similar interest and kind of, you know, like, and I'll just say like a rejection of the status quo, whether it's either from a racist standpoint or like what I would say from my leftist progressive is like, it's just like stupid consumption. Yeah. You know, it's just like people just are, this is what I was thinking about everybody that's kind of going broke right now. It's like people have been just like, their consciousnesses have been just hammered so hard by corporations to buy the wrong things, to be interested in stupid shit. And it's like, well, yeah, if you were just like a little more abstemious about some of your spending, maybe it wouldn't be so hard right now during this apocalypse.
Yeah.
So we got some high tide going on here.
All right.
Yeah. Used to there. I picked up a scapula from a seal, a dead seal over here when I used to come down here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another key point is, like shit is fucked, but who do you blame for it?
No, we're all complicit on some levels.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say it's definitely asymmetrical warfare on our, like, I'll just say mind control, right? Like, they have all of the technology and academics and intellectuals and thinkers to try to figure out how to make you buy a piece of sugary plastic garbage. You know, they have they could cast all the fucking marketing magical spells over your brain. And most people just are not thoughtful. They don't have any critical thinking skills. That goes down to the basically destroying the public school system over the last, 30, 40 years. So I see it as it's a systemic kind of infantilizing, of mostly the American public, but it's happening worldwide too. I told you, I think TikTok is insidious in its basically monetizing just like people being able to copy dance moves, but not like learning any valuable skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are the valuable skills? Plant identification.
Well, I mean, that's going to change based on what the material conditions are.
Ooh, I love this. This is a good conversation.
So, plant identification, that is a great and useful skill, but not in all contexts.
Interesting.
So, there's I'm trying to think of how to phrase this shit. If you took someone from like a Western Nordic country, someone from fucking Sweden, and dumped him off in the middle of a jungle and he didn't know how to fucking deal with it, he's gonna die pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you take someone that grew up in a traditional society and dump them
in Seattle,
I mean, they'll get taken care of.
Oh yeah, at least because it's that's an interesting idea.
They're gonna have their skill sets of what they're used to are just not gonna mesh with the society that they moved into, or the environment that they moved into. So it's based on material conditions.
Yeah. It's so funny because one of my favorite obsessions when I was growing up was feral children. And, a little bit of it, like Casper Hauser or whatever, a little bit of it is this idea about this kind of wisdom or intelligence or thing they will bring to their civilized brethren, But really, they don't do very well because they just get, sickened by all of the things of whatever civilization. They just don't know how to handle themselves or eat right, or maybe even the food. They're not they're not acclimated to the food or whatever. So, yeah, I love this idea that this tribes person or this time traveler or whatever will be taken care of by Seattleites.
Or, I think that they brought this up in one of those comic books. I forget if it was Sandman or there was some other one. There was a big graphic novel that takes place in the future where they, unfreeze someone that's a cryogenics person from, right now. They just completely, flip out because, it would be, unfreezing someone from, the 1700s into our, current society.
Yeah, no wonder Fry in Futurama is so freaked out all the time. You just wouldn't have any reference points. You wouldn't know. I mean, I also always wonder about even language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would completely be a different category,
Yeah. I suppose in the future I would rely on them having some kind of universal translator program going on.
Translate this to Old English, please.
So, did I tell you about this? There's an HBO show called Beforeigners.
Yeah.
So, they talk in this very highfalutin or primitive way. God,
I mean, that's another thing that, like, I would take a little bit of issue with. The idea of, like, something being primitive.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's adapted to the material conditions that it exists in like that specific context. And is, like, probably pretty sophisticated for dealing with those things.
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, this, like, myth that the Inuit had, 57 words for snow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a myth or not, but the idea that they would be able to distinguish between all of these different, conditions and types of snow, that would, if they able to communicate it clearly, is going to cause them to have a better survival. So
one that a lot of people would actually point to as far as Inuit stuff goes is the Inuit outliving the Greenland Norse, and the Greenland Norse refusing to adapt to the environmental conditions of the land that they moved into. Like, if Greenland Norse started adopting Inuit lifestyle choices or, like, technologies, like harpoons, and they didn't even eat fish. The Greenland Norse. You don't find it. Yeah, you don't find any fish in their any fish bones in their middens.
Wow.
So, like, they fucking starved to death because they were trying to eat cows in Greenland.
Wow. Okay. They brought their cows with them, and
then they were, like, occasionally a boat would show up from, the Viking mainland. It's a nice hat.
Yeah, it might be too... I'm keeping it.
Occasionally boats would show up from the Viking mainland, but they wouldn't take anything useful. They would just take, luxury items like wine, instead of, ingots of iron or something like that.
Something that they could actually use.
Yeah.
Well, but again, this is the... I kind of have a theory about why the Cro-Mags won, why the British won, why the Americans are winning, is because that fucking drunken fucking ignorance is almost more powerful than having a good idea of how to live in the world. That, like, you could just be a brutal barbarian bully, nice alliteration, and get what you want. You just take it from the fucking peaceful hominids that know how to live in the system, But that's been going on, whatever.
That's the origin of money.
What do you mean?
So, like, okay, if you think about it like this is the basic, like, David Graeber description.
Yeah.
So let's say you're the king and you have this army. How much sense would it make to, like, give everyone a little gold token with your face on it and say, okay, now everyone give me one back? The point is, you'd pay your army with coins. Whoa, that's a crazy bird. You'd pay your army with coins. They'd show up in some town that they just conquered and say, okay, now everybody feed us. We'll pay you with these little tokens with some dude's face on them. And then at the end of the fucking year, we're going to come around and collect taxes and take that all back.
Whew. Man.
And we have all the spears.
It's pretty insidious.
Yeah.
It's pretty insidious.
It was a monetary systems. Fiat money were designed as, like, a military conquest tool.
But also, like, when you talk about the face, there's branding, and there's, like, there's all of these other, like, I want to say, like, I'll just say magical, but what I mean is, like, all these symbols are infused in a way that may go over, I'll just say, the primitive minds of the conquered minds, but they still have some kind of effect. The face of the king is still a powerful thing. The fact that this person gets to have his face on the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see monetary systems pop up without that, but that's, like, the main driving force of fiat money.
Well, is there, I mean, obviously, you know, if you have mutual aid networks and some kind of barter, maybe there's an advanced barter system that goes beyond cash.
That ends up making it so people can't accumulate wealth.
Yeah, for sure.
So a good, for instance, we're walking along the ocean right here in Southern California. The Native American groups right around here, the Chumash, had a money system, and they had accumulation of wealth. They're one of the few groups in California that have accumulation of wealth, because their shell bead money system required certain stones that were only available out in the Channel Islands to produce the drills to make the holes in the shell beads.
Oh, interesting. So it was like that was their mint.
Yeah, that was their mint. So in order to get to the stones in the Channel Islands, you'd have to have a big-ass canoe to get across the channel. So the chiefs that controlled the canoes controlled the monetary system.
I mean, they were probably on the cusp of being the fucking conquerors of North America.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying if white people didn't show up.
Even then, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I don't see the Chumash being a imperial conquering power of the Americas. I would point to like Mesoamerican cultures.
Oh yeah,
and
sure, absolutely.
Shit that developed in coastal Peru. You know, the Incas were not the first of the bloodthirsty empires down there.
Oh sure, we got the Olmecs, the Toltecs.
Oh, just in the South America, I'm talking.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you've got like Moche culture. That's the one that I look into the most, but because they're fucking crazy.
Do you think that there's a correlation? See, I keep seeing a correlation between like nature creating scarce conditions, and then the kind of reaction to that builds a certain, you know, psychosis in the people that makes them have an imperial impulse. I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah.
Hello, is the Dominator all underwater right now? There's a little bit of it. I didn't even realize we were here yet. Yeah. Where'd you come down from? Yeah, how far does it go?
It's not that much further. It's just going up. It's really steep. It's like on the edge of the cliff coming down.
Oh, gotcha. Well, this is pretty steep.
Oh, is it?
You know. I mean, I think all of these are kind of a little difficult to do.
I don't know what's safer, though, because we're going to have a hard time going back up. It's so slippery.
So it's past the other little section of the...
Yeah.
About how much farther?
You'll see it. Like,
Yeah, it'll be like dirt on the rocks and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, I kind of want to give it a try. And then, do you think we could walk through the neighborhood back?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's how we got here, walking through the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Nice.
This is, by the way, my favorite hike in all of California.
It's
I mean,
right on the feet, though. All the rocks.
yeah, a little bit difficult. I mean, when it's low tide, I kind of go out on the rocks a little more.
High, so it's
Yeah. But yeah, I call them ankle breakers. They're just the perfect size to break your ankle.
one at the golf course, the Trump National.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't know which one. But yeah, we over there where you parked there, and then we did all along.
Oh, it's like near the. I mean, because I've done this whole coast, but with all the new construction, it's hard for me to find the access.
Up there, and it's private property, so we had to walk between the cliff and the water.
Okay.
And along. They don't want you doing the cliff because it's
Yeah. Well, so you used to be able to go down at Lunata Point there. There was like a little tricky place, kind of still public land, but right next to somebody's house. And then now they're making it seem like you can't go. I want to give it a try though, because the tide pool that's there, I mean, so like urchins, and I saw this giant sea brain. I mean, you could kind of walk on the edge of the little reef aspect. And if you're like at shorts or whatever, you could just dive into this. I mean, it's like a I don't know, 30-foot pool that is just, it's beautifully growing some life. That's basically Lunata Point. I mean, the crazy thing is if you look at it from above, the pool looks like a fish eye, and the rest of the reef looks like fish bones. It's just got this kind of interesting kind of geographical shape. I mean, just, whatever. It's the sea.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. How's it going? I mean, I found this great hat. I mean, it's already an amazing day. Yeah, it's just laying on the rocks. I mean, I'm going to say this. I think it's a lady's hat because I can smell some perfume on it. Yeah. You too.
You too.
Yeah, so this, I haven't come out here in high tide in so long. I didn't realize how much of the... Sure.
Sure.
Are you going to go stand on it?
Huh? Oh, no, we already stood on that wall.
Okay.
Right there, she don't want to do it. Where?
Just get in a group in front of that wave that's about to sweep you out to the ocean. I mean, I just keep on taking pictures until you guys get posed. You'll have a lot to delete, but at least you'll have some. Lift up your hats just a little bit so we can get some sun on your faces. And I'm going to get a little bit closer. Da-da-do-do-do-do. It's beautiful. I'm going to get a little funky angles here. Why not? You can just choose which one you want.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, so this is the bad boy. When I first started coming here in the early 90s, there was still the whole structure of the ship.
Yeah.
So when I came here the first time with Rich Polysorbate 64, it was on a Cacophony Society little outing. And he brought a piñata full of fireworks.
Nice.
And we brought musical instruments. And we went inside the hull. There was enough of the ship that you could actually go inside of it. And, we played instruments. We made a cacophonous sound. And then he lit the piñata. He hung the piñata in there and lit it off. And it was very exciting.
Nice. I'd love to see, like, a new Cacophony Society form.
Yeah.
Something like that, anyway.
Yeah.
I think that, like, the time's kind of ripe, but it wouldn't have to be, exactly the Cacophony Society.
No, but
material conditions have changed.
Yes, and they were, kind of reacting. They were founded like in the early 80s, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you could probably trace it back to the late 70s if you're going to talk about the Suicide Club.
Oh, yeah. But like, I always love an artifact being destroyed by nature.
Oh, there's a, what is this, a crab trap?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess you put the treats inside that little thing.
Yeah,
and it
crabs.
And it sends out a scent to the crabs.
How are they supposed to get in there, though?
Let's see. I'm sure you're on the right side there.
Yeah.
It's probably just broken. That's why it's up here.
Oh,
There's a bunch of them. Well, more over there. I mean, how do you ever remember where your damn crab traps are? But yeah, this is, like I said, my favorite hike, but also like, I think that this was the kind of the main engine.
I mean, that looks like a bulldozer, though.
Yeah, so I think what it was for because it was, I think it was for putting the stuff in and out of the hold.
Ah, got it.
Like it was like scoop things up and pull things out.
All right.
I mean, that's my theory. I mean, the other theory I used to have was that they got a bulldozer out here to try to pull it off of the rocks and it got stuck. But it actually looks more like it was part of the ship.
Yeah, I'd say that it looks like it's like it was on the ship.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have ended up in that position any other way. But that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the gears all rusted together, and you can even see on the spools, it's got the cable has been rusted into
there.
into a chunk. You all right, bud? Yeah, I think he likes this hike a lot. It's a pretty adventuresome hike. I guess I haven't been up this other trail in 20 years. Let's give it a try, huh?
Let's give it a go.
Yeah. Do a loop. Wait, so back to the Peruvian
moche culture.
empire.
Yeah. So moche culture is fucking weird. They developed in coastal Peru in a couple different river valleys. And coastal Peru is like one of the driest deserts that there is. The only thing that gives it precipitation at all is fog. So it's only got like fog cactus forests at best. But in these like little lush valleys coming off the Andes, people showed up and started farming. And they built the largest structure in the Americas, Cueca de la Sol. It was a huge adobe pyramid structure. They had some pretty bloodthirsty gods. There's this guy, we call him Wrinkle Face today. None of their stuff was recorded like linguistically.
There's no existing language of them or whatever.
But there's a Wrinkle Face god. And we found a lot of evidence of human sacrifice, where they were sacrificing like the children of the elites to control the weather, is the prevailing theory there.
Sure.
That didn't work out though, because they got a 30-year El Nino La Nina cycle. So first it created a drought for like 30 years. There was about 30 years of drought, and then there was 20 years of flood. And their civilization pretty much collapsed after that.
That's going to be happening to us.
Yep. The civilization that arose afterwards, they worship. I forget the name of them, but they worship this particular shell that would appear in the coastal waters when the coastal waters were warmer. So. Like it normally doesn't range that far south on coastal Peru, but like they really revered the shell. Like if you could get it, they'd cover their tombs in it and all this.
Oh yeah. Like the hippies with their abalone shells for sage.
Yeah. So, but these guys they were really into it, and it makes sense because if the shell is appearing off your coast, the water's warming. And you know that certain weather conditions are going to happen. So you could start making like longer term decisions about what you should do for irrigation ditches and those sorts of things. You're like, oh, floods are coming.
Oh yeah. Well, it's so interesting because, I'd say, between science and kind of the ad hoc adoption of some, let's say native signal reading, we're not very well versed at breaking a little piece of a branch on a tree and smelling it and going like, rain's coming. But we have a tiny bit of that, we are probably the most able to do short-term and long-term forecasts, but yet we're also the most ignorant of how to use that information. That's
very true.
Yeah. It's so sad.
I mean, I think that it's just we don't really have like a baked-in brain capacity for things that are like larger scale or larger term events. Like that's something that just keeps coming up. Like, it comes up a lot in this whole pandemic.
Yeah. Well, I think it's weird. I would say like, there are those of us, like I'll just say like me and you and some of our friends that kind of do have, and there's like a Stuart Brand out there, and there are people who have at least a little bit of the ability to put themselves in that, and I think sci-fi writers, you know what I mean? Like, I think there are a minority of us that have an awareness around this. What do you got there?
So, this is a kelp holdfast. They tend to wash up in the fall. They're like the root structures. They're what anchor the kelp
To the
sea
ocean floor. Okay.
And if you crack them open, kind of a fucking bitch to open.
I mean, I got a
up.
knife.
You got a knife?
Yeah, the little one I use for the
Sweet.
slate.
All right. So if you
My
cut these
tiny
guys
little
open,
Kershaw.
I don't want to like stab it too hard. I was shown this by a marine biologist when I was a kid. And it's one of my favorite things. It's like my only thing that I like to do at the beach, really. If you crack these guys open, you'll find a lot of the time that they're full of like brittle stars.
Oh yeah,
and,
of course.
Just various sea life. Yeah, you can see a bunch of little fucking sea bugs scurrying around. Because these become the sort of the nurseries for smaller invertebrates.
Oh yeah.
I've even found a baby octopus in here a couple times in these things. But yeah, you'll find urchins, various sea stars. These ones aren't great. The ones that are up by Malibu, I tend to find more stuff in.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of whale fall. Like, so I guess when a whale dies, it hits the bottom of the ocean, it starts growing these life forms that are unique to the actual to the whale fall.
Yeah.
They're these red tubular worms.
Yeah. They find them at deep sea vents as well. And that's how the tubular worms are able to jump from deep sea vent to deep sea vent. So, I mean, you can kind of see right here, though, all the kelp out there is, like, actually a fucking forest. Like, we have another entire ecosystem in California that you don't even really get to see unless
you're a diver.
Yeah, dive down there.
Surprisingly, I never see very many divers on this beach. I've seen them a couple times. It just seems to me it would be like a really rich, interesting environment to scuba dive in.
Yeah.
So I think we passed it, but right around here was this. It was basically like a whole room that was just the corners of the metal had existed for like up until like 9 or 10 years ago. This may be what's left of it. It's always just fascinating about what gets broken and what gets saved to me. Nature is such a mercurial bitch. Again, I look at this and I'm like, people are not. Their greed gets in the way of them seeing the portents and signs of our imminent demise.
Yeah.
But I also look at this. I look at like people like me and you, and like, you know, people we know, people that are in a little bit of a kind of low-grade survivalist mode. I think, whatever. I got another 20 vibrant years in me. If I could do that while, the fires are raging and the militias are running through LA, and I could still occasionally, do a podcast and chase after some tail too young for me, I'll be fine. What am I going to do? Like, I'm concerned about my friends that have kids, but, I'm on this planet for a short time. So if I think of like this literal one human existence I have, it went from kind of this post-World War II abundance of the 70s, maybe to a post-World War III scarcity of the 40s or 50s,
Hey, I've been stocking up on obsidian to fight World War IV. Every time I go out to Salton Sea, I go and visit Obsidian Butte and pick up just a little more. Add one more big chunk of volcanic glass to the collection.
Yeah,
but
I'm definitely too old to. Maybe I could be some kind of local militia advisor or counselor kind of thing. Like advise people on the tactical and strategic things one should do. But realistically,
liege.
you know, these the dummies on both sides that are going to want to go out on the street and shoot each other, they've been waiting for this for generations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're ready to just, like, they've been fucking primed. There's a movie I saw, I want to say it's like the Battle of Brooklyn or something like that. But these militia from, like, the South, North Carolina and Virginia, show up in Brooklyn. Or maybe it was the Battle of the Bronx, one of the two. And they show up to kind of take over the city. And all the fucking, the gangbangers and the fucking, even the old grandmas that just have guns just hidden in their fucking, under their pillows. Everybody just comes out and starts fucking sticking it to these fucking dumb white boys.
Surf Nazis must die.
Yes.
On a kind of a different note, I've been this has been like puzzling me, and I think it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, here it is. This is the little structure I was talking about.
Sweet. So the other day, Thursday or so, I was at a donut shop, and I ordered what I was going to order. And the next guy in line, he gets up to the counter, and he says, "Can I get one of those cake bagels? I mean donuts."
Stupid.
I'm like, wait, is that like a local term for donuts? I've tried to look it up. I can't find anything that suggests that like this actually is a local colloquialism for donuts. But they call them cake bagels. So that's actually really been bothering me.
Well, what I would say is, like, to me, I don't know if there is I'm going to say etymological, but that's not the right word, a common origin for both bagels and donuts. But, if I imagine it and think about it, I mean, obviously, bagels are like Eastern European Jewish origin, and donuts feel like they're of Germanic origin. There just could have been some German baker. Oh, that's amazing.
Nice piece of tube worm.
Yeah.
Coral.
If you don't want to keep that, I'll keep it.
All right, if you're gonna take the treasures of the sea.
Oh yeah. Will it fit in my pocket?
Super
is the
fishy
question.
and gross in there, though.
What's that?
You might want to wash it off. I think it's
I'll
like
definitely take this part off.
Ah, God.
You mean so all the weird tube worms and insects don't fall into my pocket?
A bunch of dead tube worms in that thing. This rock that I got here, it's kind of interesting. It looks like an asphalt.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
there's so many oil seeps off the coast that have always been there.
And you don't think it's like a piece of like asphalt that fell into the ocean and has been worn over the
No,
years?
no. The way that it's layered definitely looks like it's some sort of asphalt oil seep deposit rock. There's a bunch of it all around. That's what the Chumash used to fix their canoes with.
Oh, really?
They used to waterproof their canoes with tar that they would just collect from seeps that occurred naturally around here. I mean, we have the La Brea tar pits. There's also there was also the Carpinteria tar pits.
I did not know about
and
them.
the McKittrick tar pits. So, whoa, you okay?
Oh yeah.
We have probably like the world's largest collection of tar pits in Southern California. There's only a few others.
But is this why they're able to pump oil underneath Beverly Hills?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That's all part of the same oil-bearing formation.
Yeah, see, this is, again, another reason why California should secede from the rest. We got oil, we got agriculture, we got lawyers, we got entertainers, we got science, we got it all.
Again, the main thing, though, is that we've got a port.
We got a port.
We got a port.
The one thing we don't really have is water. But
we can make do with the water that we have. And
I
like
think so,
again,
too.
I would say if we do secede, we should take everything up to Wyoming.
Yeah.
We should take the entire Colorado River.
Yeah. For sure.
Why stop at where our geopolitical borders are right now?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're fucking goddamn dead right. Dead right. It's like, you know, I look at like this idea of Cascadia, and I'm like, well, could we turn Cascadia, and I'll just say eco-fascist for now, but into an eco-state, you know, where maybe I wouldn't say eco-fascism in the sense of like some people have to go, but be very extreme about what kind of industries are allowed to exist and flourish in our, you know, in our new glorious empire. Because I also think if let's say Cascadia / California were to, oh, here it is, were to do this, yep, he knows. Yep, this is it, bud.
Oh, this is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, boy.
Feels like a real trail.
This is pretty steep.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we could go back to that other one if we
Yeah.
don't feel. I mean, I've hiked these trails a lot, I'm sure. Keep going.
Oh, man, I don't have a
Go.
problem with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I always look at this and like people with all their fishing gear and surfboards come down these trails.
Yeah. Fucking.
Oh, there it is. Ah, shit.
A couple months ago, a friend of mine was on about how the shows like Friends and The Office are like, they're popular because they're simulations of having friends and working in office jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And what people's like expectations of that would be. They're not popular because they're actually funny or anything.
They're popular because they get you to rewire your fantasy expectations about the shitty job and the shitty friends you have.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I wish that my friends were paleontologists living in Brooklyn in a fancy giant ass apartment. Or whatever.
Can you get over here, bud?
But I've been thinking about that in terms of even what this podcast would be.
Come on. Yeah.
Is that it's like a sort of like a hiking simulation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
For the people that are listening in.
So, is it easier to go up that crack?
It might be easier to go up the crack.
Okay.
Less sketch.
I'll follow you.
All right, I'll go first. And you might have to pass Barney to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's see if I can get him over on this edge here. Can you come up this way, bud? Okay. Yeah, it's like a simulation of hiking.
At least the recording of it.
Come on.
I mean, we're actually hiking.
Yeah, no, but people listening to it. Over here. Okay, here. You gonna try to do it? Here. Can you go?
Hey,
Good
Barney.
boy, you got it.
Come on.
You got it.
Come on.
Boy.
There
Here you go, bud.
Come
Good
on.
boy. You're mostly better at me than hiking, Barney. But these are the situations where
The
I
fact
win.
that you don't have limbs or long limbs.
Yeah, that's kind of the hope for me is like, early on also,
Come on.
we were talking about like, oh, look at that.
Dog caught in the crack.
Here, come on.
Yeah.
If people followed along on the route.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't record the maps anymore, but yeah. And again, like future archaeologists listening to this, being able to
Digging out the MP3s from a skeletal hand of some long forgotten desert burial site.
yeah, exactly.
Bury me with my MP3s.
And they can listen to the sound of the rocks and make some assumptions. Us talking about the two berms and the
Christ, they still had an ocean back then?
yeah, exactly. And there was high tide.
That was before we mined the moon?
Whew. Didn't they know that you could make water out of air? Okay.
Nice view, though.
Oh yeah.
You can see all the way to Japan.
Let's swim. Let's go there.
On a good clear day from Mount Lukens, looking out across the Pacific, you're able to see, I think, 5 or 6 of the Channel Islands. You're able to see Catalina, and then you can see over Catalina to the next island. What is that? San Clemente.
Oh, okay.
You can see all the way to San Clemente, and then you can see all of the islands off of Santa Barbara. You're actually able to see the curvature of the Earth if it's a really clear day.
I mean, that'd be an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit of a longer hike, but it could be done in a day.
It's a coastal.
No, it's up in Tahunga.
Oh, okay.
So you're able to see a mountain way past Santa Barbara, Mount San Ynez.
Okay.
It's 113 or so miles from Lukens. I was up there on a clear day and just like marking sort of, I could see that peak and it's got a radio tower on it and it's about this bearing from where I am. But that's a fun one.
Yeah. I mean, I will contend until I go to Peru. California is to me the most beautiful terrain. We got it all.
Yep.
Mountains, ocean, snow, desert. Okay.
What is it? Good. There's a good
I think let's
phrase
walk
that-
on this side because
Yeah.
he's going to be looking for shade. And then we can also see the cars coming.
Yeah. There's a good phrase that I came across recently, which was disturbance creates diversity.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of ecological
Yeah.
disturbances. That could be a river, might be an ecological disturbance across the landscape. A river going across a plain, a mountain coming out of a plain, and a river coming down the mountain, a rock that's in a certain position. It changes the environment enough that it favors one thing in front instead of another, and that creates the diversity.
Have I talked to you about the J.G. Ballard novel, Day of Creation?
I don't remember.
Okay, so literally, when I went to my 10-day silent day meditation retreat The only book. Hey, buddy. Guess I'm going to have to carry you a little while because you're too wild. Oy. I got the leash, but I'm eventually I'll put it on him. Oh yeah, good. So timing worked out perfectly. So I didn't take any writing material, didn't take any, electronics, but I took one book. It was this J.G. Ballard book that I'd had sitting around for a while. It's just a little pulp paperback called The Day of Creation. The cover of it is like a riverboat, kind of this watercolor painting of a riverboat. And I was like, oh, let's give it a chance. And it's about this guy who is he's like a UN medical relief doctor in some kind of, podunk Eastern African town. And they've been digging for wells. They can't find any water source. So eventually this tiny town that had a cigarette factory and some oil something, some French oil drilling company. And it's this giant dry lake bed that he keeps on trying to find a well in. Eventually, everybody leaves. There's just the kind of chief of police and a few people around. But he basically discovers / creates a river. He moves a rock that pulls the roots of a tree out, and this spring comes out from it. But the river just kind of floods the whole city and fills the lake, and it just goes up. And he keeps on talking about it as a second Nile, that to replenish Africa. And he follows it and follows it and follows it. And it's kind of like you get to see, the reason it's called the Day of Creation, how from this empty desert environment, all of this life spurs forth from it. Then, but also it has this kind of second story about him, like a Lolita story. There's a little African girl that's been displaced by the warlords. She's a little, kind of 14-year-old badass bitch, but he is trying to have an affair with her. He's trying to have sex with her. It's this is him critiquing the colonial impulses of the British, because he's a British author. But it's a great book, and it's talking about just like that. He's really good. Obviously he's one of the greatest living authors of all time to me.
Is he still alive?
He died 8 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, his last book was this thing called Millennium People, which I thought was, I think it was 2004, something like that came out. It's pretty good, but it's it's typical, kind of post-apocalyptic, how do we, arrange ourselves in this tech world, and how everybody is nobody is. Look at how short this was.
Yeah.
Coming back this way. Well, good thing now I know, because I've never done the loop before. Yeah, but it's what were you saying about the variety of life? Or no, disturbance
creates diversity.
Yeah.
That's also in reference to wildfires. Burning out the understory, so that way you end up with a greater variety of plants that will grow in an area instead of being shaded out by an overstory. You can have a greater variety of plants, which leads to a greater variety of animals.
Yeah.
Just sort of been meditating on that.
Yeah, I would say that if you go back to, let's say, origins, basically, even I think the Bible contains metaphors, the idea of let there be light. I feel at the beginning of everything there was just a source of either heat or energy or light, right? So it's a thing of energy. And at that point you have a binary, right? Because you have light and dark. You have the infinite void into which this thing came, and then you have the dark, and then you have this thing. And so, one of the things my shaman talked about is like, this light moves, so it starts creating variation. It's a disturbance. It has energy, it has a thing, and then maybe the first life form, and I don't know how that happens, goes toward the light and away from the light. And so you start with this like one little asymmetrical thing or idea that then blossoms into the multitude of everything that we have now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like novelty and complexity seem to be the direction of history. We keep on more and more novel and complex things continue. I mean, and in that matrix, humans are kind of simple. That's why we're dealing with so much chaos right now.
I'd actually beg to differ a little bit.
Okay.
Just for the fact that you see the same structures popping up in different branches of life and at different times to deal with the same problems. For example, like something might have a flat head and powerful forelimbs to be able to burrow. That might be an armadillo. That might be a cricket. That might be, some sort of dinosaur. Various fucking things that are completely unrelated to each other, all develop similar structures. Things that have like tusks. You have.
If you're up for it, do you want to go like around this bend and see if we can look down onto the?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is just so short.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking too. I was just going like, how could that have been so fast? But I also suppose, like I said, traditionally, I'll show you I'm going to drop off my tube worm skeleton. Would you?
Shells.
Shells, yeah.
Exoskeleton.
Yeah. This is what I'll say this. This is what housing should be. Each person gets their own little tube.
It secretes a solution on their skin that they could move around inside of.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also, I love the idea that though it's also like that this is some kind of like, I would say bioengineered seed. You just get your home seed and you put it in your ground, and then the structure grows out of it, and it ends up being like, organic and somewhat arbitrary, but ultimately it's there's plenty of rooms and plenty of spaces in it, and you can kind of use them as you see fit.
There's a material I've heard of it called being called biocrete.
Oh, yes.
But I've looked it up, and there's other meanings to that, so I'll just describe what it is. There's a way to run electricity through salt water onto a frame, and it will accumulate the salts and calcium carbonate onto the frame.
Okay.
It'll just pull that shit out of the water and then form...
Basically, just like anodizing the salt water.
Yeah. So they found that... you could do like reef restoration with this, where you float out a geodesic dome, drop it down to the bottom of the ocean, put some corals on it, and then electrocute it with a buoy with a solar panel. And then the corals grow faster because they're pulling in more calcium carbonate. But you could also do this where you don't have corals involved. You could do it where you just are growing a structure.
Yeah.
I really want to do this, and I think I want to do it in like the Salton Sea.
Of course, it's a highly saline environment, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty fun. Like make some sort of weird electric house.
Sure. I also think that just at the bare minimum, you've got whatever structure you make. That could just be a piece of art in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, and then as the Salton Sea dries up, the structure would be revealed. But personally, I'd like to see the Salton Sea sort of geoengineered. It's one of the few places where I'd like really support that.
Well, it's because it's already been like so brutalized by kind of like human engineering.
Yeah. Essentially, and like the whole region has been brutalized by human engineering. You used to have the delta of the Colorado River feed into this, massive, like, sort of jungle system that had, like, jaguars living in it and massive flocks of birds and stuff.
Let's go. We can't stay here. Come on, bud.
But yeah, because that's all been fucking diverted. Like, the Colorado doesn't even get to the Sea of Cortez anymore. The only spot for migratory birds to stop along the Pacific Flyway is going to be the Salton Sea.
Oh, yeah,
My proposal, or the proposal that I'd get behind, it's not my proposal.
Leash here, hold on a sec.
Would be to plant a bunch of mangrove trees.
Oh, yeah.
Turn the Salton Sea into a mangrove forest.
Okay.
Because they could deal with the salt water, and then they provide shade over top of the sea to slow the rate of evaporation.
So how, would these be like coastal mangroves?
Yeah, coastal mangroves that extend, a mile or two into the Salton Sea. So like the shores to the edge of the mangrove forest.
Let me carry you, bud? Come here. I know this is not good for your paws.
Get that dog some shoes.
Oh, I keep thinking about it, but then I'm like, I have these environments where I'm just like, oh, he's going to be doing so much better with just his regular paws. Oh.
You got some stickers on his feet?
Yeah. I'm sorry, buddy. Let's see what we got over here. Was it just that 1 foot? Okay. Well, here, we got dirt. Dirt's a lot better. We'll try to stay on the dirt for you, bud.
But yeah, I'm a fan of either dumping a bunch of mangrove forests into the Salton Sea, or just cutting a channel to the Sea of Cortez and flooding the entire Imperial Valley.
Yeah, well, it's
all the way up to Palm Springs.
How you doing?
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be all right. He's adorable. I took him and I say, give him the line cut. Yeah, it's also, I feel like he gets a little, like when he comes out, he's like, hello, take a look at me.
Just flooding it, just completely flooding it.
So when you say the Imperial...
The entire Imperial Valley.
What's in there right now?
Calexico,
yeah, for sure.
Nyland, all of those towns, Westmoreland, all of them.
I mean,
shout out to Holtville. You're safe.
I feel like it's also one of those things where is it possible to do something like that surreptitiously?
Potentially, and it will happen eventually. That's
you think the Sea of Cortez is going to connect back with the...
100%, yeah.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm saying that is because, one, sea level rise, and two, because the Colorado River no longer reaches the Sea of Cortez, its sediment load is getting eroded away by the tides, which that section of the Sea of Cortez has some of the highest tides on Earth. I think outside of like Hudson Bay. I think Sea of Cortez has something like, on the north side, where the Colorado River Delta is, something like 60 foot of tide. You combine that with the hurricanes that it gets and the storm surges that they produce, you're going to eventually erode away the Colorado River Delta without it being replenished.
Okay.
So it's going to flood eventually. Either that or, you'll have I think I was describing it previously where you have a series of cascading dam failures.
Oh, yeah.
That would also reconnect the Imperial Valley to the ocean.
So is this, with rising sea levels, is this part of what could be happening, is that these traditional river paths or whatever get reinfused, kind of like a backflush?
Are we going back down?
No, we're not, but I wanted to show you, this is the place where I typically go, and they have just made it, well, at least last time I was here, they made it seem like, I guess we could have done it. They made it seem like it was going to be extra super dangerous. I think we could, but I don't know how. It's going to be pretty treacherous coming around here, and I think it's just going to be, and now that I know, next time I'll use this.
Yeah.
This path, because this one's actually a little bit easier to go up and down.
It looks like it.
Yeah. I think the person I was hiking with last time, I was not sure if they could handle it. Yeah. But yeah, there's a little cabana down there.
Nice.
Right there. And then there used to be a little surf camp up there, but I didn't see it today. Yeah, let's go around and see if we can see Lunada Bay.
So yeah, what are you on about the rivers?
But we have these rising oceans, right?
Yeah.
Which they keep warning us about. Is this one of the byproducts of it?
No.
Okay.
No. This is just because the Imperial Valley is basically a rift valley.
Okay.
You have two parts of the plate that are moving apart from each other, and then in the middle, it sinks down. They call it the Graben. It's German for grave. That's the type of landscape that Imperial Valley is.
Okay.
Is a Graben. And then the mountains on the side are horsed, but I don't know if they're actually horsed in that case. Yeah, because it's sinking down, it's below sea level. And then you have the Colorado River that dumped with the flood events on the Colorado, dumped all the sediment and blocked that off from the ocean. Like they find whale fossils up in Palm Springs.
Wow. So it used to go all the way up.
It used to go all the way up, yeah.
How's it going?